Hello, everyone. Inspired by education and its impact on the world, I have led school innovation and I supported education institutions with transformation for over a decade now. COVID hit us like Newton's apple. We clearly saw things that we didn't see before. We saw that schools are not prepared to meet the individual needs of every student. They're not prepared to prepare students for their future. And interestingly enough, right when we saw these gaps, we also saw solutions that could potentially help. The pandemic, while a humanitarian disaster, has sparked innovation everywhere. Take the city where I live, for example, San Francisco. When the pandemic hit, restaurants were forced to shut down. And the city then started thinking, what if we let restaurants take the parking spot right outside their door and have some outdoor dining there? The restaurants proceeded to get super creative, creating beautiful structures to welcome their customers. And they called them parklets. Given the huge success of these parklets and how it made the city completely vibrant and alive, the city decided to keep these parklets even after the pandemic, even though we have shortage of parking spots. A city like San Francisco, with a year-round beautiful weather, did not have outdoor dining before. It took the pandemic for San Francisco to have the kind of outdoor dining environment and scene that it truly deserves. Michael Fullan describes the conditions under which systems truly change. And there is no denying that currently we have multiple of these favorable conditions coming at play to help us truly transform education. We must seize this moment. More and more governments and people are seeing gaps and challenges and opportunities in education. We have alternatives that are now made possible by technology and the advancement in technology. We also had the opportunity to reflect and try new things and reimagine new ways of doing stuff during the pandemic. And most importantly, I think we do have you, education leaders that are courageous and are willing to embrace new approaches to meet all students' needs. It is no longer a question of whether we should embrace technology, of whether we should transform education. It's a matter now of how and how fast can we do that. As we look ahead to the future of education, what does that mean? It means that we need to consider blended learning approaches that take the best of face-to-face and technology in order to serve students and improve their outcomes. It means that we need to really truly think about equity, not just equity of access to internet and devices, but equity of the effective use of these technologies to improve teaching and learning. We need to rethink our curriculum. We need to make sure that it has all the competencies that our students are going to need in their future. And we need to make sure that we have enough data to help us steer the ship really quickly and have these real-time information and understanding of students' progress and what's going on in our education system. Education leaders often ask us, okay, great, all of this, I'm on board. How do I get started and how do I scale and sustain innovation? We've all been part of a lot of initiatives where the change only stayed with the select few, the early few that truly embrace change easily. And that change didn't really grow to reach the rest of the school. Roger's innovation curve is absolutely known, and it tells that there is a chasm after the early adopters where a lot of innovations go to die and fail to spread to the rest of the system. Now, I got a chance to work with Paul Weifels, the author of the book, The Chasm Companion. He talks about how to cross that chasm and the strategies that work. The key is foolproof innovations and evidence that these innovations are truly making a difference and delivering value. Now, crossing the chasm is not as easy as flicking a switch. And we need to be thinking as we think about, well, how are we going to cross that chasm? How are we going to build the capacity of everyone in our organization? We need to think about what does that look like, right? The future, and I would say the present of work is really centered around people and the way they collaborate and they leverage all of the tools and the resources available to them for that. The way they rely and take advantage of the advancement in technology and the assistive intelligence that has been made available to them to help save them time and make them more efficient and effective. I, for example, used AI in order to help me with this presentation. It helped me with design ideas. It helped me with the presentation code. Lots of great tools out there that are really helping us improve. And that's also an environment where we're also mobile and we're fluid. We're able to move between working on one device to working on another device seamlessly to go into a completely different environment without missing a beat. And all of that is natural. And the way we embrace data and we weave it into our processes and practices is as simple as telling stories and being completely natural. We know that transformation is successful if people adopt the change really fast, if many of them are implementing the change, and they are transforming and performing that change at a level of effectiveness and a level of proficiency that is not superficial. So, you know what I mean? We sometimes train people and they use tools, but they don't really use it to the level of depth and effectiveness that would help them reap the most results. So what we're looking for is this fast, wide, and deep adoption of a change. That's the ideal scenario to sustain a change. And I would argue that it's not enough to get people and organizations to just embrace and adopt change that is required from above. We're all very familiar with Bloom's taxonomy in the context of students and how we want students to not just remember things and repeat things, but to also be creators. We want the same things for our organization. We need our schools to also move from simply knowing and applying new innovative practices to actually creating and inventing new practices and sharing them with the rest of the world. Now, change happens easier and faster in places where there is a culture of learning. There is this type of work environment like the one I just described, where there is risk-taking, there is collaboration, there is growth. In this case, change is not just happening top-down, it's happening top-down, bottom-up, sideways, and it's so organic, it just feels natural. So where do we begin? How do we do that? How do we reach the majority on the innovation adoption curve? How do we make sure that our culture is all about a culture of learning that is going to enable everyone to grow and to move forward? It takes setting a North Star. Here's where we need to be, and working towards it progressively, but with a sense of urgency. We know that's what works. We've seen it. And that's why we at Microsoft have developed these two important programs that I'm happy to be leading. The Shoki School program and the Showcase Education System program. The Shoki School program is a transformation program that allows schools to partner with Microsoft, where Microsoft provides support to these schools as they embark on their transformation journey. Now, the Shoki system is to help system leaders who look after multiple schools to think about ways to create and develop these model schools and replicate their success across their system. So think of the Shoki system as an expansion, a growth from the Shoki school program. Now, these model schools that the Shoki system will start developing will be part of the Shoki school program. They'll be part of the Shoki school community where they work with us and with each other to scale the innovative practice and to transform school-wide. It's proven that once you have these lighthouses, these schools that are spearheading innovation, they start spreading innovation all around them. We've seen it happen in UK, we've seen it happen in a lot of different countries, but in UK, these Shoki schools have been now called on as demonstrator schools that are helping the government to spread innovation and to help other schools with their digital transformation. And case in point, this conference we're in right now is the creation of Dukkha Schools, one of the leading Microsoft Shoki schools worldwide. The few examples I'm showing you here are from schools that joined the program in 2020. They have undertaken a transformation journey in the middle of the pandemic and all of the challenges that came with it. I personally continue to be inspired by each and every one of these schools and their stories, and I invite you to explore them as well. This program is open to schools in school systems who are committed and aspire to see tangible results from their digital transformation. Now, once schools join the program, they're working towards a system-wide transformation guided by the Microsoft Education Transformation Framework, a framework that was created with the help of researchers and practitioners and policymakers, and it's been proven effective for schools and for systems. This is a great opportunity. We've seen that the outcome of a school or in a system joining the program is that they get recognized as a worldwide innovative institution. They get to transform schools. They get to build the capacity of their school leaders, of their educators, and they also get to be part of a professional learning network to sustain that transformation, to sustain that culture of learning and growth. Now, let me share with you a story of one of these Shoki schools that have completely changed 180 degrees as a result of being part of the program.
Two years ago, we were in the bottom 10% for progress across reading, writing and maths. We are now in the top 1% nationally.
We've made drastic improvements in our results as a school in the last 2 years, and that is definitely down to the way that we've embraced the 21st century learning skills.
We've got really good staff and really good head teacher and deputy head teacher.
They're much more confident talking to each other, sharing ideas.
You get to talk to each other and learn with each other because they might know some information that you don't know.
So you guys might do the first 2 sentences, you guys might do the second 2 sentences.
The change in all of the teachers since I first joined 2 years ago and now it's completely different. And I think the Microsoft Educator community has really helped to get all of the teachers on board pulling in the same direction for a common goal.
I went and earned another badge, the Digital Citizenship badge.
I really need to do this way badge.
I got my Microsoft Master Trainer badge this weekend.
I did the actual total quite a few.
I think it's definitely between these 2.
The Microsoft Educator community enabled each teacher to take it at their own pace and actually feel confident in the teaching and learning that was going on within their classroom. And we created an expert in each area. So we created a Sway expert, a Skype expert, a OneNote expert, a Microbit expert.
We all ended up having our own particular areas that we had a keen interest in. So I love Minecraft and I wanted to find out all about that and how I could use it in my classroom. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to design what you want Steve's house to look like.
You get to do things out in your imagination.
Yeah.
And also you get to build things.
Yes.
And blow things up.
We had individual leads in different areas. Everybody felt that they were part of that journey and could have their technology of their own. And so that excitement and that buzz of, you know, I've got my thing that I do spread across the school. And that really led to our success and really enabled us to embed those creative approaches across the whole school.
When I took over 2 years ago, we were in a very different place. The school had a lot of challenges. So to be where we are today is amazing, and to see the excitement, the enthusiasm, the teaching, the learning, all sides of the schools that make Danesfield great. It's a very proud moment.
What can I say after this great story? You've seen how the principal completely built the capacity of the whole school, created an environment where all teachers are collaborating, but each is excelling in their own specific specialty. This is exactly what we're talking about. And I invite you to move forward and to shape the future together with Microsoft. Thank you.